Have you ever felt like you're waiting for something big to happen? Like there's a message out there meant just for you? What if today was the day you finally got the answer you've been searching for? Life has a way of sending us signs when we least expect them. And maybe, just maybe, this is yours. God works in mysterious ways, and sometimes all it takes is a moment to open your heart and listen. Today might just be the most meaningful day of your life. Are you ready to see what God has in store for you? Take a step forward right now. Pause, reflect, and invite the guidance you need. Open your heart to God's signs. Trust in His timing, and let today be the start of a new chapter filled with clarity and purpose. Don't wait any longer. Take action and see what unfolds for you. What are divine signs? Divine signs are subtle, meaningful messages that often come to us when we need them most, though they may not always be what we expect. In the context of faith, a divine sign is a form of communication from God, guiding us along our paths, encouraging us, or even gently correcting our course. These signs are like whispers in the wind, soft yet profound, appearing in various forms, but always carrying a message meant just for us. They may come as a feeling that lights a spark within, a coincidence too perfect to dismiss, a vivid dream, or a verse that stands out like a beacon when we read Scripture. Divine signs don't arrive with fanfare or flashing lights. Instead, they're often gentle nudges, reminders that we're not alone and that something greater is always at work in our lives. One of the most beautiful things about divine signs is that they appear in ways that we can personally understand, unique to each of us. For some, it might be the sudden appearance of a long-forgotten childhood memory that now holds new meaning. For others, it's a phrase or a line from Scripture that seems to leap off the page, resonating deeply in the heart, as though God Himself is speaking directly to them. Then there are the coincidences, moments when events align so perfectly that it feels as if the universe is orchestrating them. Maybe you've been wrestling with a question in your heart, and suddenly a friend calls with the exact advice you needed to hear. Or perhaps, at the very moment you're feeling discouraged, you hear a song on the radio that brings you peace. These moments can be quiet miracles, nudging us to see that we are supported and watched over. Dreams, too, can carry messages. Sometimes, in the stillness of sleep, our minds are free to connect with deeper truths and receive insights that we may have overlooked in the rush of our waking hours. A dream might show us a solution to a problem, a vision of hope, or even a reminder of our own strength. Many people have had the experience of waking from a dream, feeling as if they've been given a new perspective, a sense of peace, or even specific guidance that suddenly feels clear. These moments are not just random. They can be part of God's gentle way of guiding us. At times, a divine sign might be as simple as a feeling, a quiet yet unmistakable sense that we should move in a certain direction, say a certain thing, or hold back when tempted to act impulsively. These intuitive whispers can be God's way of protecting us, of helping us make wise choices that align with His plans for us. Like a lighthouse guiding ships through dark waters, these signs give us light when we need it most. They reassure us that even if the path ahead is uncertain, we don't have to walk it blindly. In many ways, divine signs remind us that God is constantly working through the ordinary and extraordinary parts of our lives, calling us to pay attention, to listen, and to trust. When we recognize these signs, we realize that we're part of something far larger than ourselves, part of a divine plan that we may not fully understand, but that invites us to walk in faith. God's guidance, though subtle, is always there, as constant and present as the sun breaking through clouds, showing us that He is with us every step of the way. Why we sometimes miss these signs. In the whirlwind of daily life, it's easy to overlook the gentle signs meant to guide and comfort us. Often, people rush through their days with minds tangled in to-do lists, responsibilities, and worries. Like trying to hear a whisper in a crowded room, these signs can be drowned out by the noise of modern life. Distractions surround us constantly. From the glow of our phones to the endless demands of work and family, the world pulls us in every direction. We may feel that if something were important, it would shout to get our attention. Yet divine signs rarely come with grand fanfare. They appear softly, like dew forming quietly on grass, and are easy to miss if we're not watching closely. Stress, too, clouds our awareness of the world around us. When we're anxious or overwhelmed, our focus narrows to whatever seems most urgent. We become like ships lost in a storm, only concerned with staying afloat, unable to notice the lighthouse in the distance, guiding us safely to shore. In these moments, even if a sign appears, it can slip right by, unnoticed or dismissed as coincidence. Sometimes, skepticism also builds a wall around our hearts, preventing us from accepting that a moment or event might actually be a sign. We brush it off, thinking it's just chance, or that can't really mean anything. Like an umbrella in the rain, doubt shields us from receiving the messages that might bring us comfort or clarity. Modern life seems designed to keep us constantly moving, always seeking the next task or distraction, leaving little time for stillness or reflection. In this fast-paced world, signs are like subtle footprints in the sand. If we're moving too fast, they get swept away before we even see them. Each notification and obligation pulls us further from the present moment, where signs are often waiting to be discovered. It's as though we're traveling a beautiful winding path, but are too busy checking our maps to notice the flowers blooming right beside us. The signs meant to guide us get lost in the shuffle, and we lose touch with the guidance meant just for us. To truly notice these signs, we must learn to slow down, to step back from the noise and find moments of peace in our lives. Think of it as tuning a radio to the right frequency. Only when we find stillness can we hear the faint music that's been playing all along. Pausing, even for a few minutes each day, can create space for signs to appear, for thoughts to settle, and for our hearts to recognize the gentle guidance all around us. In that quiet space, we can open ourselves to life's hidden messages, allowing them to touch us and guide us like a gentle hand, steering us toward what's best. How to recognize a sign from God. Recognizing a sign from God can feel like trying to catch a feather drifting on a breeze, subtle yet unmistakable once you're attuned to it. Divine signs often appear in ways that speak directly to our hearts, gently guiding us with feelings of peace, clarity, or a sense of knowing that can't be easily explained. A classic example might be the perfectly timed words of a friend who calls just when you need encouragement, or an unexpected moment of quiet understanding that suddenly washes over you like a calming wave. These signs might come as a passage from Scripture that feels as if it were written just for you in that very moment, giving insight that answers a question you've been silently asking. They don't scream for attention, but if you're paying attention, they resonate with a deep, comforting assurance. One story of a divine sign might involve someone who was unsure about a big decision, feeling lost and praying for guidance. As they're contemplating their options, they notice a random stranger wearing a t-shirt with a quote that speaks directly to their situation, perhaps a message about courage or faith. Although it may seem like a coincidence at first, something within them feels a sense of clarity, as though a puzzle piece has clicked into place. This feeling of rightness is often what sets a divine sign apart from a random event. Unlike ordinary circumstances, which may feel hollow or neutral, divine signs often bring a sense of relief, peace, or a stirring in the heart, even if they don't make logical sense at first. Another way to recognize a sign from God is to stay tuned in to the repeated messages or patterns that may arise in your life. For instance, if you're uncertain about a particular path and keep encountering the same advice from different sources, a song lyric, a sermon, a book, and a conversation with a friend, all pointing in the same direction. This repetition may be God's way of emphasizing a message meant just for you. These holy echoes, as some call them, can guide us by showing up in our lives repeatedly, signaling that there's something significant to consider. When you notice such patterns, it's worth pausing and reflecting, allowing the message to sink in and considering how it might align with your prayers or intentions. To differentiate between random events and divine signs, listen to the feeling each experience brings. Divine signs often stir something within that feels unshakably true, like a small flame igniting in a dark room. It's a feeling that settles in your heart rather than in your mind, bypassing analysis and going straight to a place of peace and certainty. When a sign is genuine, it often brings a sense of calm, or perhaps a nudge toward courage that feels natural and right. The role of faith and patience. Faith and patience go hand in hand, like two steady companions on the winding road of a spiritual journey. Trusting in God's timing means believing that everything unfolds exactly when it should, even when we can't see the reasons. Imagine planting a seed. At first, nothing seems to happen. Day after day, the ground looks the same, and it's tempting to dig up the seed just to check if it's growing. But we know that growth takes time, and beneath the soil, life is quietly beginning. Similarly, in moments of waiting, God is working in unseen ways, preparing us and shaping circumstances, even if we don't see immediate results. Patience is the faith to believe that what we need will blossom in its own season, that God's timing is like a master clock ticking in harmony with our lives. Embracing patience is like learning to breathe deeply, calming our restless hearts and allowing them to settle. When we hurry, eager for answers and signs, we often overlook the lessons of the present moment. We may feel frustrated, wondering why our prayers seem unanswered or why the signs we long for haven't appeared. Yet, in these periods of waiting, God teaches us resilience, humility, and inner strength. Patience becomes a teacher, shaping us and expanding our capacity to receive. It's through this patience that we develop a deeper, unshakable faith, a faith that doesn't demand immediate answers, but trusts that they will come in due time. Sometimes we may feel ready for a sign, but God, in His wisdom, knows that we're not yet prepared for the next step. Like an artist carefully layering paint, He adds brushstrokes to our lives, building a masterpiece that we can't yet see in full. Often, signs appear only when we're truly open to receive them, when our hearts have grown soft and our minds are willing to listen. It's as though God waits for the perfect moment, knowing exactly when we'll be able to appreciate the guidance He offers. This readiness often comes after seasons of waiting, reflecting, and growing. By the time a sign does appear, we're more capable of understanding and following it with clarity and conviction. Patience is not just about waiting, but about waiting well. It's a quiet strength, like a river flowing steadily toward the sea, undeterred by obstacles. By trusting in God's timing, we let go of the urge to control every outcome, surrendering our need for immediate answers, and instead embracing each day with a hopeful heart. Faith in God's timing fills us with peace, reminding us that everything we're waiting for is on its way, unfolding with perfect purpose. Rather than rushing, we learn to walk alongside God, allowing Him to guide us at His pace. In this trust, we find freedom from worry, knowing that every moment holds meaning and that the answers we seek will come when we are fully ready to receive them. Stories of people who saw their sign and changed their lives. The stories of those who have recognized divine signs and embraced them, often read like moments of magic woven into ordinary lives, reminding us that the most profound transformations can begin with a single, subtle nudge. Take the story of Sarah, a young woman struggling to find her purpose. She was at a crossroads, torn between a stable career and her lifelong dream of helping others through counseling. One evening, feeling lost and praying for guidance, she walked past a church and heard a line from a sermon drifting through the open door. "Help others with the gifts you've been given." It was as if the words reached straight into her heart, igniting a feeling of clarity that she couldn't ignore. Trusting this sign, Sarah changed her path, returned to school, and eventually became a counselor, finding a career where her heart could fully thrive. Today, she says that moment was a turning point, guiding her toward a purpose that she hadn't fully seen until she opened herself to the sign in front of her. Another inspiring story is that of Tom, a man who had spent years working tirelessly in the corporate world, feeling increasingly empty despite his material success. One weekend, he attended a retreat, still unsure of what he was searching for. During a group meditation, an image came to his mind: a vast open field with children running and playing, surrounded by peace and laughter. Though he couldn't explain it, the image felt like a message. The idea wouldn't leave him, and he began to wonder if there was something more meaningful he was meant to pursue. Eventually, he decided to follow this intuition, leaving his job and starting a non-profit to build playgrounds and provide safe spaces for children in underserved communities. Tom often shares that the decision to follow this sign not only transformed his life, but brought him a deeper fulfillment than he'd ever known. Even small signs, if heeded, can change our lives in profound ways. Take Maria, who was filled with doubt about rekindling a friendship that had once ended on a sour note. She felt a deep pull to reach out, but questioned if it was truly wise. Then, while flipping through an old book, she stumbled upon a handwritten note from this very friend, tucked between the pages. The sight of it brought back a flood of memories and a sense of warmth that she hadn't felt in years. It was as if God was showing her a doorway back to forgiveness and connection. She took the plunge, reached out, and found that her friend had also been longing to reconnect. Their renewed friendship became a source of strength and joy, proving that sometimes the smallest signs can lead to the biggest blessings. These stories teach us that recognizing and acting on divine signs can be like stepping onto a hidden path that leads us closer to our true selves. The initial step may feel uncertain, but the journey it sparks often unfolds with a richness we could never have anticipated. Acting on these signs requires courage, faith, and a willingness to follow our hearts. The beauty of each story lies in the personal growth, the renewed purpose, and the sense of fulfillment that emerges as people align themselves with something greater. When we open ourselves to divine signs, we allow life to guide us in directions we may have never planned, but that lead us to places we deeply belong. The power of prayer in seeking guidance. Prayer is like a gentle conversation with God, a sacred bridge between our hearts and His infinite wisdom. When we're seeking clarity and feeling lost, prayer becomes a compass that points us back to peace, allowing us to tune in to God's voice amidst the noise of life. Just as a gardener waters seeds with patience and care, prayer nourishes our spirit and opens us to the signs and guidance that God has placed along our path. In prayer, we lay down our burdens, quiet our restless minds, and surrender our need to understand everything at once. It's in these quiet moments, when we turn inward and open our hearts, that God's guidance often appears most clearly. Through prayer, we don't just seek answers. We invite God's presence into our lives, asking for direction with open and humble hearts. In the stillness of prayer, we can find a sense of peace that tells us we are not alone on this journey. Sometimes the answers we seek don't come in words or visions, but in a feeling of reassurance, a soft reminder that we are being guided, even if we can't yet see the full picture. Prayer helps us to release our anxieties and align ourselves with God's will, trusting that He knows the best path for us. It's like finding shelter in a storm, a place where we can gather strength and reconnect with what truly matters. Through prayer, we create space for God's signs to become clearer, allowing us to see the path He has illuminated for us, even if it's only one step at a time. For those seeking guidance, a simple prayer can be a powerful tool to open the heart and invite God's wisdom. Here's a short prayer to help align oneself with God's guidance. Dear God, I come to you with an open heart, seeking your wisdom and direction. Help me to quiet my mind and release my fears, so I may clearly hear your voice. Guide me to see the signs you have placed before me, and grant me the patience to recognize them. Fill me with your peace, and remind me that I am never alone in my search for purpose. Thank you for walking with me on this journey. Amen. This prayer is like a gentle plea for light on a foggy road, asking God to reveal just enough of the path to keep moving forward with faith. It's not about asking for instant solutions, but about creating a relationship of trust and openness with God, knowing that He will provide the right signs in the right time. Through such prayers, we are reminded that God is always near, ready to guide us through every twist and turn, even when the way feels unclear. By turning to prayer regularly, we make room for God's guidance to become part of our daily lives. Each prayer is a small act of surrender, a reminder that we don't have to carry the weight of uncertainty on our own. As we cultivate this practice, we become more attuned to the subtle ways God communicates with us, learning to trust in the quiet nudges, the feelings of peace, and the steady presence that prayer invites into our hearts. Through prayer, we can approach each day with a renewed sense of hope, faith, and confidence, knowing that God is always there, guiding us with love. What to do when you recognize a sign? When you recognize a sign, it can feel like a spark in the darkness, a moment of clarity that calls you to act. The first thing to do is to pause and truly absorb it, letting it settle in your heart and mind. Just like savoring the first taste of a sweet fruit, take a moment to appreciate the gift of this guidance. Signs from God often come as gentle nudges, urging us in a specific direction or confirming something we've been contemplating. Once you sense this message, try to trust the instinct it awakens within you. Even if you're unsure of the full path ahead, take one small step in faith, as if you're walking through a doorway into the unknown with a heart full of hope. This first step, however small, is an acknowledgement of the sign, showing that you're willing to trust and follow where it leads. Acting on a sign doesn't mean you need to have everything figured out. Often, it's about committing to a direction rather than a destination. If you feel called to reconnect with someone, reach out, even if it's just a simple message. If the sign seems to point toward a new opportunity or change, start exploring it with an open mind, like a curious traveler setting out on a new road. These small actions show your willingness to listen and move with the flow of guidance. Trusting in this process means letting go of the need for certainty, allowing yourself to be led step by step. Like walking a path lit only by the light of a lantern. You may not see the entire way, but each step forward brings you closer to clarity. Gratitude is a crucial part of responding to any sign. When you acknowledge the guidance with a grateful heart, it's as if you're saying, "I see this and I appreciate it." Take a moment to thank God for this message, for the clarity or direction that it brings, no matter how small. Expressing gratitude not only deepens your connection with God, but opens you to receiving more guidance in the future. Think of it as watering a garden. The more you nurture this relationship with gratitude, the more signs are likely to bloom along your path, each one leading you closer to a life of purpose and peace. If doubts creep in, remember that signs are not always logical or easy to explain. Trust your inner voice, that quiet feeling of certainty that comes with recognizing a genuine sign. While it's natural to feel hesitant or question whether you're interpreting it correctly, know that following your instincts is part of the journey. By listening to that gentle nudge and embracing it with confidence, you're honoring the message that has been given to you. Over time, you may find that each sign builds on the last, guiding you toward a more meaningful and fulfilling path, one that aligns deeply with your spirit. Living a life open to signs. Every day, living a life open to signs every day is like learning to dance with the rhythm of the universe, where every step feels purposeful and aligned with a deeper melody. To live this way, you must cultivate mindfulness, paying attention to the little things that might otherwise slip by unnoticed. It's about slowing down enough to catch the whispers of guidance that God offers us throughout the day. Imagine walking through life with your eyes wide open, not just looking, but truly seeing. The way the light falls across the trees, the unexpected kindness of a stranger, or the timely message that arrives when you need it most. All these moments are opportunities for signs, but they can only be recognized when we take the time to notice them. To live in tune with these signs, make it a habit to pause and reflect, like taking a deep breath in the middle of a busy day, allowing your mind to settle so that you can hear the gentle stirrings of God's presence. Being open to signs is also about approaching life with intention. Instead of rushing from one task to the next, try to infuse each moment with purpose. Whether you're driving, eating, or talking with friends, ask yourself, how can I be present in this moment? What is it trying to teach me? By adopting this attitude, you invite signs to enter your life more freely. It's like planting seeds of awareness in your heart and mind, knowing that with each act of presence, you're creating space for divine guidance to grow. Recognizing signs becomes a natural byproduct of living intentionally, as you remain tuned into the subtle messages that may appear in everyday experiences. A key to staying connected with faith is consistency in your spiritual practices. Just as a tree needs regular sunlight and water to flourish, your soul needs daily nourishment through reflection, prayer, and gratitude. Taking a few quiet moments each morning to reflect on your intentions for the day can help you stay aligned with your deeper purpose. Prayer is not always about asking for things, but simply about staying in conversation with God, seeking His wisdom and presence as you move through life. A prayer in the morning, even if it's just a short moment of gratitude, can set the tone for the day, opening your heart to the guidance and signs God may send. Gratitude, too, plays a vital role in staying open to signs. When we acknowledge the blessings in our lives, we increase our awareness of the subtle ways God is working. It's like shining a flashlight on hidden treasures. When we express thankfulness for the little things, our hearts become more attuned to the beauty and wisdom that surrounds us. Make it a practice to reflect on what you're grateful for at the end of each day. Even in moments of struggle or uncertainty, finding something to be thankful for brings a sense of peace and shifts our focus back to the goodness of life. Finally, living a life open to signs requires patience and trust. It's about knowing that God's timing is perfect and that not every moment will offer immediate clarity. Trust that the signs will come when you are ready to receive them, and that they will guide you exactly when you need it most. With patience, your faith grows stronger, and your ability to see the signs becomes sharper. As you walk this path, you'll find that living with intention and mindfulness opens doors to peace, joy, and a deeper connection with your faith. Each day becomes an opportunity to stay aligned with the divine, to listen for guidance, and to embrace the love and wisdom that flows through life's signs.